Oh, no, this did not happen to Uncanceled today, did it? Did Sporting Kansas City fire Peter Vermes 45 minutes too early? Yes, they did. My whole monologue is ruined. I was ready to come on and predict for the entire city that Peter Vermes was going to be fired today because of a letter written by fans that said, we are not negotiating. This is not a negotiation letter. Peter Vermes must be fired or else. And these fans of Sporting Kansas City are so powerful, they call themselves the Cauldron and the South Stands End Zone fans, that Peter Vermes, after this letter was written, as it's not a negotiation, it is a demand, had no chance to ever walk out onto the field again because these fans would have turned the entire home game into a crap show. He literally couldn't go out and manage the team again because the fans were going to revolt against him. Oh, I had such a good monologue predicting all this. I just figured they'd wait until like 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock to announce it. Oh, no. Pete's got 35 minutes left in the show. There goes Kevin's monologue. We're going to have some fun with that here in a moment on Uncanceled, as our opening segment will center around being canceled. We have a new theme song to the show. The show has a new theme song. It was sent to me by a podcast listener, and it's written and performed by a man named Tom McDonald. We'll play that for you in a little bit. It's called Can't Cancel All of Us. That's exactly right. So you know the theme of the show today. We've got other good stuff coming. Did you know on Wednesday, the Missouri Secretary of State is inviting the media out? He wants to cancel voting machines in Missouri, electronic voting, and he wants to do it all by hand count. And so people on the left have gone crazy and said, well, we're going to need to see a demonstration of how this would work. And his response was, well, I thought you'd never ask. So we'll tell you what he's doing on Wednesday along those lines in Jefferson City. That's going to be kind of fun. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to help the governor of West Virginia lose at least 30 pounds. That's kind of fun. And we'll get into some sports toward the end of the show. We're also giving away tickets to see Dave Ramsey May 9th at the Music Hall. We'll do that at 10:45 today. Be listening at 10:45. We'll open the phone lines for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Dave Ramsey May 9th at the Music Hall. And one winner this week will get the VIP experience, get to meet Dave Ramsey. So we've got all that straight ahead. Okay, so here's the headline. Look, it's not about soccer. It's not about you being a Sporting Kansas City fan. Let me change this thing up for you because I want you to trust what the show is, and then I'm not just some former sports guy on talking about sports all the time. Let's do a little history lesson on Peter Vermes, who, by the way, will have a statue outside the stadium. He is Sporting Kansas City. He's ultimately their George Brett, Patrick Mahomes, whatever. He was a terrific player. He's been the coach. They've won championships. He's been there forever. Peter Vermes is Sporting Kansas City, and there will be a statue. So we're not going to cry any tears here today that Sporting's manager for a long time has lost his job. And I know you probably don't care at all about the soccer component here, and I don't really either, other than they're the worst team out of 30 in MLS this year. They've played 6 matches. They don't have a win. They only have 1 point. They tied 1 match. So they're the worst of 30, and they were traditionally, for decades, one of the best. I mean, really, really, really good, and won titles. But the soccer behind us, so forget that. Let's take a little trip down memory lane as to what this franchise is and usually why I like to talk about Sporting Kansas City. Neil Patterson is one of the greatest Kansas Cityans of all time. He died 7 or 8 years ago. He was the founder of Cerner. Cliff Illig was his partner, the co-founder. You've heard that name before, I feel sure. And Neil Patterson was, if you were in this town in maybe the 90s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, he was sort of known as to media people anyway, because I was in media. He was known as the only person of note in this town that was not in politics that would outwardly let you know, I'm as conservative as they get, and that's the only way to do things. And that's how we're going to run Cerner, and that's how we're going to make billions of dollars, and we're going to do this right. We're not going to accrue debt. We're going to pay things off. We're going to treat people well, and we're going to do great things for Kansas City. Neil Patterson was a visionary. He was a brilliant man. He was a great conservative. If this were 20 years ago, Neil Patterson would be on Elon Musk's Doge team. There is no question if this all happened 20 years ago, Neil Patterson would be in D.C. right now on Elon Musk's Doge team. And when he got into soccer, he didn't even like soccer. They said, hey, this is an investment opportunity. This league's going to blow up. They've wound up making a pile of money by having an MLS team here. Really one of the earliest teams in the league. They bought it from Lamar Hunt. They built the stadium. The rest is history. They made a lot of money. It's gone up in value a lot. And the Patterson family, even though Neil is no longer with us, is still listed as the number one ownership position on the team's website. Number 2 is the Illig family. For the day-to-day operations, Mike Illig, the son, is basically known as the owner. Well, since Mike Illig's been in charge, they've just gone off a cliff. It's just not any good anymore. I'm not saying I know what his politics are. I'm not saying it matters, really. What I'm saying is the people that founded this thing were great conservatives. And Peter Vermes, the guy that got fired today by the fans, he essentially got canceled. Because last year, Mike Illig, the owner, says, I'm standing by Peter Vermes. He is the man, and we're not doing this. This was an uprising. This was no different than any other cancellation. It was the fans getting you canceled. Peter Vermes didn't get fired so much as he got canceled by the fans. And they are organized fans, and they travel. And there's 2 large groups of them, and they were going to turn that stadium into a crap show for Peter Vermes if he came back out there as manager again. And they stated as such in their letter that they put out on Sunday, where they wrote, the trajectory of this club on the field has become unacceptable, and we can no longer stand by while mediocrity overshadows our once proud legacy. We cannot and will not accept this level of mediocrity. The hard truth is this: for Sporting Kansas City to reclaim its rightful place as a dominant force in MLS, a change in leadership is necessary. Peter Vermes must resign as manager. This is not a request. It is a demand from your fan base that refuses to watch the club wither under outdated tactics and unchallenged authority. His tenure has run its course, and a fresh vision is required to leading Sporting Kansas City in the future. Then they write to the ownership group and all this. I will tell you this. If Neil Patterson were alive and owned this team right now and believed in Peter Vermes, he would tell these fans to turn in their season tickets. I'll find new fans, and you people can go fly a kite. You're not telling me what to do with my team. There was no question when I saw this letter yesterday that Peter Vermes was done. I did my podcast for today last night. If you want to go listen to it, I actually call this shot. I wanted to do, it wasn't the lead. It's about 30 minutes into the podcast. It wasn't the biggest part. I was saving that for the radio show today because I thought, well, this is going to happen. And I want to talk about cancel culture because that's what this is. And it's different in sports. Of course it's different in sports. And yes, fans that stop buying tickets or showing up or people that don't care and your team stinks and they're losing are all great reasons to fire somebody. I get that. But this felt more like an uprising and a cancellation, like a Tesla event that they're having now, a protest against Elon Musk or whatever. These people were going to protest. It was going to get ugly, and ownership has kowtowed to them. Kerry Savagnin will take over as the interim manager for Sporting Kansas City. And yeah, to a certain extent, it's a little disappointing that somebody gets canceled by a fan base. But that's indeed where they are with Sporting Kansas City right now, as Mike Illig has pulled the trigger after the fans have said, this is not a negotiation. They were right. It was not. It was going to get really ugly really fast. Now, there's also a great saying out there with conservatives, you can't cancel all of us. You know the name that I chose for this show, Uncanceled. I got canceled for speaking the truth. I'm back. It's a new America. Speaking the truth is cool. And I was very eager after a listener sent me a link to a YouTube page of an artist named Tom McDonald, who's a singer. I think he was a rapper at one point, but this is a great song. He's got his acoustic guitar. The lyrics are fantastic. There's a YouTube video that's great. Lara Trump is in it. John Rich from Big and Rich is in it. The actor Kevin Sorbo, Political Junkies, Michael Knoll, Benny Johnson, Roseanne Barr is in the video. There's all kinds of people in this. And it's called Can't Cancel All of Us. And I think it's now the unofficial theme song of this show. Let's give it a listen.
They told me, be a man, boy, toughen up. Then they let women become men. They tricked me. They told me, speak your mind if you're brave enough. And I spoke up and I got canceled quickly. We were always too young and too nice. And now we're too old and too white. You're either too left or too right. Well, we're speaking our minds tonight. 'Cause you can't cancel all of us. And you're more than welcome to try. But you can't cancel all of us. 'Cause we're standing here side by side. And you can't cancel all of us. You can burn the stars and stripes. But you can't like your dad and told me everything I am is toxic. They said the color of your skin doesn't make you bad, but mine makes me racist, got it. We were always too weak and too afraid, and now we're too male and too straight. You're either too real or too fake. Well, we're speaking our minds today. 'Cause you can't cancel all of us, and you're more than welcome to try. But you can't cancel all of us, 'cause we're standing here side by side. And you can't cancel all of us, you can burn the stars and stripes. But you can't cancel all of us, 'cause the internet ain't real life. You can take my job away for something I may have said online, but you can't control a man who won't comply. And you can call me every name that you might think will hurt my pride, but if you think you're stopping me, you're out your mind. 'Cause you can't cancel all of us, and you're more than welcome to try. But you can't cancel all of us, 'cause we're standing here side by side. And you can't cancel all of us, you can burn the stars and stripes. But you can't cancel all of us, 'cause the internet ain't real life. 'Cause you can't cancel all of us, and you're more than welcome to try.
Wow, do I love that song. Can't Cancel All of Us by Tom McDonald. If you are listening to this radio station, you are part of an historic movement in the United States of America that we are not taking it anymore. From people telling us that we are bad people, that we see things the wrong way, that the skin color we have makes us racist or homophobic or whatever. It is not happening anymore. It is a revolution. When you see this video, it may be offensive to some of you. There's some flipping off of the camera from some of these people. When they finally get mad, the fight back is the middle finger, like we're not taking this anymore. But that's the spirit of the whole thing. And really, the revolutionary here was Donald Trump. When he came down the escalator, I know I've probably said it every week I've done this show. I can't believe this is finally happening. After all of us being so quiet and so afraid and so meek and rolling over and taking it, we're all fighting back. It is just incredible. His name is Tom McDonald. That is called Can't Cancel All of Us. Okay, we're off to a flying start here at Uncanceled. If you'd like to join the conversation, give me a holler right now. 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio.
It's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Welcome back to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. I was just looking up Tom McDonald, the person who sings that song, wrote and sings it, and he's got 51 million downloads on Spotify of a song called People So Stupid. He's also got one called White Boys with a Z that's explicit. Some of this is rap-like. A song called The System has 38 million downloads, so Tom McDonald's doing just fine. I'm not really familiar with his work, but he is doing fine. And while we have a revolution going on here, Europe doesn't seem to be able to get out of its own way. Germany is thinking about re-implementing their draft because they think World War III is coming. And in France, Emmanuel Macron just arrested and is convicted and threatening to jail 8 members of the Conservative Party, including Marine Le Pen, who will run for prime minister or president. And now she won't be allowed to because they're going to lock her up and put her in jail. So all the stuff they did to Trump here that made him stronger and better in America is working in other places. Zelensky has done this crap forever. He's jailed his opponents and stayed in charge. He's canceled elections. All these leftists do the same thing. It didn't work here. Forget whatever transpires going forward in these next 4 years. We dodged a bullet. You think Trump dodged one? This country dodged one because we saw through it. Somehow as Americans, we saw through it and said, we're not doing this. We're not taking this from these people. We're not doing it. And it is working in other places where they're jailing their opponents. And it did not work here in the United States, and I'm very thankful for that. That's a really, really big deal. I know it's a big picture item, but that's a really big deal that we either see through it or have checks and balances and a constitution that prevents it from happening here. Such positive outcomes. I just get an energy from these things, man. For some reason it matters. You know, we sat back forever and we're like, all the Hollywood stars, and we made fun of them. I was the same way. I was like, who cares what Hollywood says? Well, you know what? When Hollywood starts saying cool things about what you believe, you like it. You like Joe Rogan. You like Dana White. You like all these people. Roseanne Barr suddenly isn't crazy. We see her differently, right? So it does matter, and it matters collectively on a society, and culturally, it probably shouldn't, but that's the world we live in. These things are all over social media. We consume them every day in every possible way, whether it's radio, television, websites, social media posts, Facebook accounts with your family, whatever it may be. These things enter our lives and they're influential, and we don't even sometimes recognize or understand how they influence us. But as we become more honest in media and information and free speech in this country over the last few years, we've seen what it's done. It's literally put us in a place where young men in America, young men, 18 to 30, vote at a higher percentage for Republicans than men 70 and older, which has never happened. But we know where they're getting it. They're seeing it at impressionable ages. They're seeing both sides of something, and they're looking at things like dudes playing soccer against girls. And they're like, that party is not for me. Not for me. And you see the demonstrators and the weird people and the people that walk around in their masks and have the chains on and the leather and all that. They're like, not really the way I want to live my life. And it's sorting things out for a lot of people. And it's powerful. And that's how you're uncanceled. And that's what the song means when you say, can't cancel all of us. That's right. Because most people see now the people that were doing the canceling, and they were doing it by influencing media companies and politicians and businesses to do things that were crazy. We went through COVID. All these young kids that are voting now went through COVID. They know what it's like. They got locked down. They didn't like it. They probably didn't like the shots. You know, if you're a 12-year-old or 13-year-old during COVID now, you're voting now, you probably didn't like getting those shots, being forced to do that to play a sport. I can't imagine being a 12-year-old kid, as much as I love playing baseball, and having them tell me, oh, you got to go take all these COVID shots to play baseball. I'm 12. Really? That's a requirement? These are things they'll remember. People are going to remember that. It's powerful. And we're just now at the beginning. It's like watching a surfer paddle all the way out against the tide to catch that wave. Man, we've been paddling for years. And we're just now standing up on the board at the beginning of the wave. It's what it feels like to me. And you see it in almost every facet of life now. It's cultural. When you have songs like that, this song's going to just rock it. I mean, this thing's going to wind up number one on Spotify, is it not? Aren't the people just going to hear this and just go crazy?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Millions and millions and millions of downloads. Tom McDonald can't cancel all of us, and I say we just keep up the pressure. Maybe we should do some of our own demonstrations. Because we're really, if you think about it, one way to categorize conservatism now is it seemed like it was the status quo forever in America, but it's been so uncool for so long now, we really are the rebels. We're the revolutionaries. Going back to what our country was founded on somehow feels revolutionary and cool and edgy and new age and new era. And we've got to export this all over the world. In one way or the other, we got to get it all over the planet. 913-408-7957. We got time for a couple of phone calls when we come back. If you'd like to join us, we got some other tasty topics coming up, including the Missouri Secretary of State having a fantastic event you want to know about.
Kevin Kietzman is Uncanceled and back on Kansas City Radio. 10 to 11 a.m. on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
I like the sound of that. Hope your week is off to a great start, and I hope you had a fabulous weekend. We got a nice show here today. Having some fun. We're taking some phone calls, 913-408-7957. Let's check in with our friend Mark, calling from Shawnee. Hello, Mark. How are you?
Hi, Kevin. Good. Thanks for taking my call and love that song. I just got to share two or three things with you, and I'll try to be quick. I've watched Fox News. They were interviewing some of those people who were out there protesting in the Teslas, about the Teslas, and their dealerships are out in front of the store, and they asked them, have you paid attention to anything Elon Musk has said? Have you listened to that? No. Do you care about waste, fraud, and abuse? Well, he's lying. So that's why they earn the name DIM-ocrats, because they don't want to hear anything. Well, think about this, Kevin. They're burning cars of the very people who are supporting what they want. So I'm a hot rod guy. I love combustion engines, going sideways, smoke flying. I still do it. Got several cars. I'm driving down the highway the other day, 70 miles an hour, 435. Tesla pulls up next to me. I don't care for him. If you want one, go buy one. Anyway, this guy was kind of big, had a beard, and I looked over at him. I started honking my horn at him. He was trying to ignore me. His face was irritated, like, oh, here's this guy going to give me some crap. So I got up closer to his door, and I started laying on the horn. So he finally looks over at me like, what? And so I stuck my thumb up, like, thumbs up to him. And he first looked like he thought I was flipping him off, I'm sure. So I rolled down my window, stuck my thumb out there like thumbs up. He finally smiled at me and gave me a big thumbs up. So we got to support these people.
That's good to hear. Now, you're going to run about 50-50. Most of the people you're going to run into driving Teslas are still probably Democrats. So be careful out there in choosing your battles with these folks. I've chosen to ignore Tesla drivers. I don't know when I pull up next to one what they are. I don't. But I got a microphone. So I've got a podcast. I got a radio show. So this is my outlet for saying and what I believe and what I think about these things. So I've got an outlet. I'm going to leave the drivers alone because there are just reports everywhere that they are sick and tired of people honking at them, either flipping them off or giving them thumbs up or whatever it may be. They don't like it. So I think the respectful thing to do is leave Tesla drivers alone at this point. I don't think they want this battle. I don't think they want any part of this thing. Here is Mark in Gardner. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you today, Kevin?
Great, man. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Well, I just wanted to say, number one, I'm glad to hear you on the airwaves again. I always enjoyed listening to you, and I wonder, been thinking about this. How long ago were you in the early 90s in TV?
Yes. I started in 1986 in television in Joplin, Missouri. Got to Channel 4 a couple of years later and stayed there until 97. I was at Channel 4 for 10 years.
Yes. And in the early 90s, I went with another friend of mine up to see the Chiefs play in Seattle at the Kingdom.
Okay.
And we caught a late-night flight back, red-eye back to Kansas City. And I believe you were sitting across from me. And I just thought, here's a guy, just a regular kind of guy. And it always made an impression on me. And I'm glad to have you back. And I want to put my vote in for more hours of you and less hours of Vince Colonnade.
Hey, be nice to Vince now. Come on. Let's not go there. I appreciate the kind words.
He was foisted upon us, but I would rather have local radio for a couple more hours a day.
I understand, Mark, and I really appreciate that, but that would be more work for me. I don't think you got my point.
Yeah, you like the 1 hour, right?
I do like the 1 hour. I cram everything in and it's good. I do a podcast full time. I've been doing it for 4 years, and that's really kind of like it's my baby. We own our own media company. It's called Crooked Tail Media. We actually had our own bracket challenge this year. Our whole 2 employees are myself and my wife, and I have Florida winning it all, and she has Auburn, and they play each other in the semifinals. So that will determine our bracket on Saturday. We'll know. But we have this little company that we started 4 years ago, and I do podcasts, and it's been really fun and successful. Her background is in media as well. We've chosen not to expand our company and make it bigger and take on all these challenges just because of where we are in life. When Pete and Don and the folks here at KCMO Talk Radio. Talk to me about this time slot and the opportunity to do it this way. It's perfect into the schedule of everything else we're doing. And so we'll just let it play out. Thanks for the kind words. I appreciate that. And listen, I know this about radio. Give Vince a chance. He's new to you. Keep listening, keep listening, keep listening. I think you'll probably grow to love it more and more each day. That's generally speaking how things go in radio when you hear somebody for the first time. Give him a shot. All right, here's James in Olathe on KCMO Talk Radio. Hi, James.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing this morning?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, we have some pretty good friends down the street that have one of these Teslas, and I know, they're pretty liberal people. I mean, we've always kind of avoided talking about politics, but I just have to believe that a lot of these, and I know a lot of these people that bought Teslas are liberals, and they have to be looking around and shaking their head about this group that we belong to, the Democrat Party and liberals. I mean, look at the other people that are in this outfit. When you lay down with dogs, you could expect to come up with fleas.
I think it's worse than the cars because I've known some people that are liberal that have owned Tesla stock for a long time. And they would have let's say their 401k. They'd say, oh, yeah, I'm in mutual funds. It's all dispersed around. It's all distributed. But I did go out and buy $10,000 worth of Tesla or whatever the number is. And they've had it for years. But now these liberals are claiming they want to drive the price of Tesla down. I don't think they know what they're doing to their fellow liberals. There's a lot of liberals who've had Tesla stock for 10 years or longer, and now they want to drive this price down on their own folks. I don't get it. I don't see what purpose that serves to want to drive a stock price down in this country on any company.
Well, I just think a lot of these folks, including the people I mentioned, I mean, they're regular folks, but they bought into all that climate change.
Right.
They thought the electric car was such a noble thing, and they're not bad.
They
people.
clearly don't mean it. They're turning their battery cars in for engines, gas engines. What's the guy from Arizona? The senator from Arizona. He turned in his Tesla and got a Chevy Tahoe that burns gas. They don't believe what they say.
He's a nut. Yeah.
They don't believe it. They don't believe it. Elon was just their guy until he wasn't their guy. And now they're really upset at him. And Tim Walz went out and wanted to drive the stock price down, was making fun of that. And then he realized that the state of Minnesota has millions of shares of Tesla stock in the retirement fund for government employees and the teachers union. And you want to talk about an unforced political error. How could you be that stupid and not know all that Tesla stock was sitting in there for all the government employees? And you're out actively rooting against screwing over the very people that work for you in your state's government. We're trying to wreck your pension here because we're, loaded up with all this Tesla stock. Because why? Because the Democrats have been charged in Minnesota. And they love their big, giant, bloated state government. And what did they fill their retirement fund with years and years and years ago? Millions of Tesla shares. And they loved it until they didn't. And now they want the stock price to go down. These people, it just doesn't make sense the way they view the world. I understood protesting Bud Light. I understand protesting Teslas or boycotting them and saying, I'm not going to buy a Tesla. And we encourage other Democrats to not buy Tesla. I get that. But burning the cars and keying them and walk around, who would do that? That would be like you going to the grocery store and you see some dude roll out of the grocery store with his groceries and a 12-pack of Bud Light on his cart, and you see him loading his vegetables are going in, his bread and his milk, and you go grab his Bud Light and you just dump it out in the parking lot and step on all the cans. Well, nobody did that. They just said, we're not going to drink it. The company made a terrible mistake with Dylan Mulvaney, this influencer. They made a mistake. We're not going to drink it. Okay, you did your part. But you didn't actively have protests where you tried to destroy, kegs or do something at the brewery or have politicians saying we're going to try to drive the stock price down. No. There's a lot of people that own Anheuser-Busch stock. It did go down, but that's not something you actively root for. That's not political. You don't know who that's hurting and what that does. These people are just wrong in so many of the things that they do.
Kid Rock did one shooting at a can, I think.
Right.
That's the only one I can think of.
That's what started it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those were beers that he'd already had at his house.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I'm done with Bud Light. I'm going to blow him up with my semi-automatic rifle here. And he did. And other people went out and did that, but they didn't do it to others. They did it on their property. They poured them down the drain or whatever. That's different. If you want to sell your Tesla, sell your Tesla, but don't key somebody else's or set it on fire or flip somebody off that's driving down the road. Be civil. They have a hard time doing that on the left. All right, you want to win tickets to see Dave Ramsey? He's going to be here May 9th at the Music Hall, and we'll take one lucky listener. Is it the seventh caller? Is that what we do? Seventh caller it is. Dave Ramsey. Give us a call right now, 913-408-7957. You want to win a pair of tickets to see Dave Ramsey? And one winner of the tickets this week, the grand prize winner, will get the VIP passes to meet Dave Ramsey. So give it a shot right now. If you want to win, there's only one way, and that's to call us. 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled. We are back right after this.
From the nation's heartland, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
Okay, we've got our winner. It's Nick Wright. Woo! I'm not kidding. It's Nick Wright from Gardner.
It's true. I took the call.
Thank you, Nick, for listening in Gardner. We appreciate that. Nick Wright is the winner of the Dave Ramsey tickets. That's fantastic. Well, the other Nick Wright doesn't have to worry about money because his daddy takes care of all that for him. Oh, don't tell anybody. I should really pay them to let me come in here for an hour a day and do this.
That was good stuff. Good stuff.
We'll give away more tickets the rest of the week. Be listening at 7:45 and 10:45 to win your tickets to see Dave Ramsey at the Music Hall on May 9th. And we'll all get smarter, unlike going to a Tesla rally, a Tesla dealership rally where you'll definitely get dumber if you show up and talk to those people. You're not going to get any smarter there. That is for sure. A couple of stories going on here that I think are really interesting this week. One, Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins is awesome. Now, I don't know much about him, but he apparently ran on voter integrity saying, we don't like the machines, we don't like the electronic balloting, we don't like the algorithms. We know all this. The people on the farthest part of our party to the right this is a rabbit hole some people will go down, and it's a hill to die on, which I respect because this matters. Voting matters, obviously. But there's a belief, and Trump helps with this, that a single-day voting and hand counting will change everything, that we'd get a true reflection of what America really is. I think that sounds right to me, but this guy set a trap for these people on the left. Denny Hoskins is like, okay, he's putting out all this information about we don't like this about this machine or whatever, and I think they did a machine demonstration, and it got clogged up and, it was like on fire. It was spitting stuff out. It was starting to smoke and kick and cough and all that stuff. And he said, we got to go to hand counting. That's it, hand counting. Paper ballots, hand counting. And so the pressure ramped up and up and up from people on the left. Well, we're going to need a demonstration of that. And he said, I thought you'd never ask. So he's doing a 4-hour demonstration on Wednesday at the Capitol in Jeff City from 8 until noon for any concerned citizens that would like to come see how it works. Anyone in the media, watch this get no coverage.
Yeah, that's inviting people not to come for the media here, probably.
The media will run from that thing and not see any of it. The governor of West Virginia's name is Patrick Morrisey, and he is overweight. But he has signed into law banning food dyes in things like Mountain Dew, Skittles, Fruit Loops, and M&Ms. Some of these food dyes are bad for us, and it's now banned in West Virginia. This is going to happen everywhere. These companies are going to have to start making their products a little differently. But RFK Jr. made a comment that when he met Governor Morrisey, he said it looked like you ate Governor Morrisey because Governor Morrisey's big. So Governor Morrisey has asked for help. Will you be my personal trainer? He said, sure. You're going to do monthly weigh-ins. You're going to be required to lose at least 30 pounds. And he's going to put him on a carnivore diet. Now, that sounds pretty good. I will trade in food dyes for meat any day. Don't know about you, but I'll happily do that. We're going to see how this goes. This could be very public and very good for America. If this governor of West Virginia, I don't have a picture of him. I don't know how overweight he is, but that sounds like a really good project that a lot of people could identify with and say, okay, what's he eating? How's he doing it? And how is a guy who in West Virginia has not been particularly healthy getting healthy? Robert Kennedy Jr. said, the first time I saw him, I said, you look like you ate Governor Morrisey. And there was a lot of talk about getting healthy again. I'm happy he's invited me to be his personal trainer. I'm going to put this on him, a really rigorous regimen. We're going to put him on the carnivore diet. We're going to make him do it. Raise your hand if you want Governor Morrisey to do a public weigh-in once a month. And then when he's lost 30 pounds, I'm going to come back to West Virginia and do a celebration and a public weigh-in with him. I think that's great. I think that's a great way to do it. It's not for everybody, but if you can lead by example, it's a wonderful way always to lead people anywhere, not just America, not just in those things. All right, Mark, let's talk a little sports here to wrap the show up today. You are glad Peter Vermes is out. What do you think is wrong with Sporting Kansas City, and will it get better over the next 3 years?
Yeah, I think that they're a bit old school in their tactics, so they need to get somebody with a more analytical mind. I know that happens in baseball sometimes too. The Royals' new manager, I think, is more into that than maybe Ned Yost was. So I think just a newer mind, a new, fresh approach in the system, I think would be good for the team.
So would you describe Peter Vermes as an American football coach who likes to run the ball and play defense?
Yes, exactly.
That's it. Okay. And that era's gone by.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody does that anymore. Yeah. I think that's probably right. And that's not a knock on him. This guy's great. He's the GOAT. He is sporting Kansas City. They're going to have to, I don't know who makes statues around here, but they're getting called today because it's time to get a Peter Vermes statue out there. Did you see Patrick and Brittany bought Randy Mahomes a new house?
I did.
Yeah. Where is it?
I think it's in her hometown of Texas.
Texas?
Yeah.
The only picture I saw, and it was like peoplemagazine.com or something, I looked at the landscaping and whatnot around it, and I thought, well, that could be here because it still kind of looked a little bit like winter, but maybe they had a cold winter in Texas. I don't know. What took them so long to buy her a house?
That's a good question. I've seen her on social media talk about how, she still has a job and all this stuff, which is good, I think. So they're not like just loading her up with money, but at the same time, I thought that she would have got a new house earlier than this.
Seems like a small deal.
Yeah.
Maybe it looks like a nice home. Maybe it's $1.5 million, a couple million, maybe a really nice home. But that's nothing, right? And they're making more than just his salary.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even imagine what their income is on the side. The things that they're doing is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan India, the Royals yesterday, got hit in the 9th inning, and it looked ugly, and they'd been pitching in on the Royals all day. And the Indians almost, they're the Indians to me. The Cleveland Indians came to town, and they looked better than the Royals. There's no other way to say it. I'm actually impressed that the Royals won a game because they were beaten Saturday and came from behind and won. It's a good thing they didn't get swept. The Royals have work to do. What a terrible way to end this series, beaning with a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. Jonathan India, who came out of the game, it hit him right on the ear hole of his helmet, and I think he's probably going to be okay. What does this mean the rest of the way between Kansas City and Cleveland? This could get ugly all year.
Yeah, there's going to be some hands thrown at the next game, I have a feeling. I don't know who's going to do it. I don't know if it's going to be late in the game. Maybe when the Royals are winning next time, they'll throw it. Maybe Ramirez or one of their key players. We'll see. But something will happen.
I refuse to believe that he did it on purpose. I think he may have hit him on purpose. There's no way he was aiming at his head. There was really no point. India didn't do anything in the series to ask for it or anything like that.
And they were up by 4 at that point.
Yeah, 6-2 in the 9th inning. Emmanuel Clase is the closer, and he's the guy who threw the pitch. He texted Salvi after the game because he didn't have India's number. He's like, man, you got to tell him that was a total accident. I'm really sorry. Why is it in baseball you can't tell him right then and there? Like the pitchers always turn their back and act tough. Why can't you just apologize right then and there?
That's a good point. Maybe because there's been so many fights in recent history.
Should you maybe pound your chest a little bit and go, and your palms up, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. There's a way to let the guy know it was a total accident. That's Uncanceled. Vince Colonnese is up next on KCMO Talk Radio.